What's going on, family? I'm Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuff series, as we look at Tale of the Tape Volume 3. And this is the moment when two men would cheer for one another, hoping that the other man makes weight. Here you're looking at Mike McTigue and Paul Berlinbach. Now, Mike McTigue was the light heavyweight champion. He would defeat Berlinbach, St. Patrick's Day in Ireland. And he would take on Paul Berlinbach December 9th, 1927. Paul Berlinbach was from Astoria, Queens. And he would upset Mike McTigue. He would become the brand new light heavyweight champion of the world. Here you have George Compartier. He would have faced a fighter by the name of Eddie Hoffman. George Compartier is on the scales. He's waiting for the results of his weight. What a moment two fighters who work so hard in preparation for a fight will be waiting for the results. Paul Berlinbach is on the scales, and Mike McTigue looks on. December 11th, 1925. Paul Berlinbach take on Jack Delaney. And Jack Delaney would defeat Paul Berlinbach, and he would become the brand new light heavyweight champion of the world. Paul Berlinbach is on the scales. To your right, Jack Delaney looks on. Now, September 11th, 1925, we have Jimmy Slattery, as he's knocked out by Paul Berlinbach. New York's Yankee Stadium. And what a fight this was. There you have Jack Delaney. This time he knocks out Paul Berlinbach for the light heavyweight championship crown. What a moment in boxing. And here you have Dave Shade of California. Crushes the hopes of Roland Tarr of Britain. Jack Dempsey looks on as these two men will square up with one another. With Jack Dempsey with the bow tie. They have Roland Tarr, who's on the scale, is to your right. And he looks at Charlie Phil Rosenberg. Charlie Phil Rosenberg was a Jewish star. And a dynamic fighter he was. These two men would mix it up. By the way, this is Charlie Phil Rosenberg. He was a bantamweight king. He was some fighter. Had a friend named Teddy who knew him personally. He would take the title away from Eddie Cannonball Martin. Oh, what a fighter this man was. Here you have Louis Kid Kaplan takes on Babe Herman. Louis Kid Kaplan is on the scales. He's to your right. Eddie Babe Herman is to your left. Babe Herman was from New Orleans. And he was also a very good fighter. I knew a gentleman who was a historian in New Orleans, and he told me all about Eddie Babe Herman. Borrowing these pictures from my Police Gazette scrapbook here. Now this is Eddie Babe Herman, who was actually facing Lewis Kid Kaplan. This is Lewis Kid Kaplan. K.O. Kaplan, he could punch. Here you have Harry Greb, who's on the scale, and Gene Tunney, as he looks on. Gene Tunney was the America's light heavyweight champion. Harry Greb would take the title away from Gene Tunney in 1922. In 1923, he would become middleweight champion of the world when he would defeat Johnny Wilson of Harlem, New York. Now here you have Babe Herman to your left on the scales, as Joe Lynch looks on. This is for the Bantamweight Championship strap. Joe Lynch would be a fascinating Bantamweight champion. Jim Maloney, heavyweight, takes on Harry Persons, New York's Madison Square Garden. Now, Pete Latso's on the scales to your left. Takes on Joe Samanich. Pete Latso would become the welterweight champion of the world. He would take on Mickey Walker, Irish Mickey Walker. And here is Irish Mickey Walker to your right. And to your left is Pete Latso. Now here you have heavyweight Jim Maloney from Boston. He is to your left. He's on the scales. Very strong fighter he was. This fight would take place in New York's Madison Square Garden. And he would take on a fighter by the name of Frank Lanier. And that would be a very rough fight. New York's Madison Square Garden. Jim Maloney, Frank Lanier. Here we have Pete Latso to your left on the scales. And he would take on Willie Harmon. He would knock him out flat. Ice cold. Pete Latso was the welterweight champion of the world. Light heavyweight champion. Paul Berlinbach is to your left. He's on the scales. He takes on King Solomon. And he would knock King Solomon out of the ring. Promoter for this fight was Jimmy Johnson, New York's Madison Square Garden. Once again, you have Paul Berlinbach and Mike McTigue. As you can see, Paul Berlinbach is on the scale. Mike McTigue is looking on. Here you have Paul Berlinbach from Astoria, Queens. He was the light heavyweight champion of the world. And he would defeat Mike McTigue. Now I'm getting these pictures from different books, so bear with me. So we're looking at Johnny Dundee, who's looking on to Jack Bernstein. Jack Bernstein was a very good Jewish fighter. And Johnny Dundee, who was known as the Scotch Wop. Once again, to your left is Jack Bernstein. To your right is Johnny Dundee. Here you have Harry Wills, the Brown Panther. And he knocks out Floyd Johnson. Floyd Johnson is on the scales. Harry Wills looks on. If you don't know who Harry Wills is, his name was the Brown Panther. Gene Tunney to your right looks on as George Carpentier on the scale. Ready to rumble between these two men. This is when Gene Tunney was a light heavyweight. George Carpentier was the light heavyweight champion of the world. Gene Tunney would become the America's light heavyweight champion. And this will be the last one. I can show you hundreds more. But Rocky Kansas, who is to your right, is defeated by Sammy Mandel. Mandel becomes the brand new lightweight champion of the world. Now I have thousands of more pictures like this I can show you, but that's going to be it for me. My back is starting to tighten up. Some Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuff series. All great fights and all great fighters will never be forgotten on my channel. Bobby Garcia. He was part of the AEF, America's Expeditionary Forces, in the tournaments there. You had Bushy Graham, Leo Patterson, who was in that as well. And of course, in the heavyweight, you had Fighting Bob Martin. Light heavyweight, you had Gene Tunney. Here you're looking at this man here, Jimmy Wild. Started off the flyweight division. 1910. Very good fighter was Jimmy Wild. Yeah, he would lose his title to Pancho Villa. This is Sailor Freeman. Heard me mention him many times. Pretty good fighter with Sailor Freeman. Chicago had dozens of lightweights. Dozens of them. One that comes to mind was a fighter by the name of Ray Miller. Could he punch? Oh. Frankie Jerome, another good fighter during his time. Harvey Bickman of Philadelphia. I don't want to bore you, so let me let you go. All right, thanks for watching Scrapbook Boxing once again. Homer Smith, who was a light heavyweight. He wound up becoming a heavyweight. You hear me talk about him. As you can see here, he was stopped easily by the Brown Panther. Look up who the Brown Panther is. I just showed you him a few pictures back. He was in the ring with Sam Langford 22 times. This is Dave Rosenberg, another very good Jewish fighter. Billy Ryan. Last but not least, Jack Renard. Read up on him. Very good heavyweight he was. In the time of Jack Sharkey and Max Schmeling. All right, thanks for watching. Peace. Look, let me give you a wide shot. Look out for more of these videos. Peace.